Welcome to the Today's Leader podcast, the podcast for the leaders and entrepreneurs of today.
Way to go, guys. Way to go. Keep it going. Good job, guys. All right, Paul. I see you. All right, Charlie. Finish. Charles, Coach Cole.
Great job, guys.
Hey there, it's Coach Cole here, and welcome to Monday Mentoring on the Today's Leader podcast, the podcast for the leaders and entrepreneurs of today. Now, as we know, Australia's been in lockdown again. New South Wales has been in lockdown for over 7 weeks. Victoria's back in after a short reopening, while Queensland took the South East Qld LGAs out of lockdown and put Cairns into lockdown. Which leads me to the mentoring for today, because what happens when what you've been successful at starts to fail or stops working? So let's face it, Australia has been largely successful with the COVID threat. It has been, and the strategy has been with a constant strategy of lockdowns, a single focus strategy to combat the health threat, which unfortunately has not taken into every other factor that incorporates what we would call life. But let's not get into that. But what has become clearly evident is that what has worked in the past is now failing to work. You know, we have a growing sense of angst in the population. We have growing pain. We have growing non-compliance within communities. We've got businesses that increasingly struggle with every single lockdown. The strategy does not seem to be working as effectively as what it did previously. Now, this happens in all walks of business and leadership. So what happens when a strategy fails? Often when a strategy fails, it's because the strategy has been too simplified, or has been one-dimensional. Often we look for simple solutions, and that may benefit communication and engagement strategies, but sometimes it leaves us short in terms of effectiveness. Now, back in episode 314, we had Jennifer Wild and Dan McClure, and they spoke about their comprehension of complexity, and that complexity is actually needed to be fully effective with the solution of the problem. Now, embracing complexity means that you uncover all of the reasons, all of the consequences, and all of the potential impacts. And we do that that surround the problem, and we aim to then solve the problem with a minimum impact on all the areas and not just a focused solution on one. And now, bear in mind, some of these solutions may not be immediately aware of. But by embracing complexity and embracing that analysis, we start to dive into it. So when you come across a strategy in your leadership, in your team, in your area of control that has ceased working, maybe that's the time to dive into some of the complexity that may be surrounding the problem. Because often that may be the cause of why the strategy is failing, is that you fail to take into account all of the underlying impacts and all of the underlying areas. So today, as part of your Monday mentoring, don't be scared to embrace complexity and look to solve problems with a strategy that is sustainable and continues to work because it has taken into account all of the aspects that surround it. Now, that's my Monday mentoring for today. Go back, episode 314, go back and check in with Jennifer Wild and Dan McClure. Embrace complexity, solve the problem. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you all again next week. Bye for now.